In today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can lose 5 kilos in 8 weeks. A lot of people think that you need to diet really hard, restrict all of your favorite foods, and do so much cardio in order to be able to get there, but there is another way, and if you don't believe me, have a look at these results. I have done this for myself and for honestly thousands and thousands of clients. You can go look at my work to go see my credentials. I'm a accredited sports nutritionist, personal trainer, bikini pro, and I have been in the industry coaching for over 10 years. So I'm going to give you guys the very blueprint that I use for myself and my clients in order to be able to get them the best, and not only the best, but the most sustainable results that you can possibly get. I have this method to an absolute formula, and I'm going to share it with you in today's video. So make sure you hang around, listen, be engaged, make sure you subscribe, and let's get into the video. So the first thing that we need to do is that we need to create a calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? So we have a calorie maintenance. That's the calories that we're eating in order to be able to maintain the weight that we're at. A lot of people will sit around here. Then we have the calorie surplus, which is where we're eating more calories than what we're burning. And then we have a calorie deficit where we're burning more calories than what we're eating. So that's what we want to do. Now, in order for us to create a calorie deficit, we need to work out our TDEE, okay? Our total daily energy expenditure. So that's essentially the amount of calories that we're burning, whether it's exercise or just simply even by resting. Once we've worked that out, we need to create at least a 500 calorie deficit. I don't typically recommend anything harsher than this because from that point, then it can start to get a little bit tricky and unsustainable, and we don't want that. What's the point of going through a fat loss phase if you cannot sustain it? And I'm so big on making sure that you are only ever running fat loss phases that is sustainable for you. So once you've worked out what your 500 calorie deficit is, then you need to ensure that you're working out your macronutrients with that, okay? So to work out your macronutrients, first and foremost, what are they? They are your proteins, carbs, and your fats. Okay, so there's 4 calories per gram protein, there's 4 calories per gram in carbohydrates, and 9 calories per gram in fats. So macros make up calories. Calories is king, but macros allows us to take it that step further to make sure that we're not just losing weight, but we're also retaining and gaining muscle as well. Because the more muscle that we have, the leaner that we're going to look at any given body fats. And that is the goal. We want to create that shape and that hourglass physique rather than just losing weight. You will get the best results if you are also counting your macronutrients as well. And if you're already tracking your calories, then easy. You may as well just take it that step further and make sure that you're tracking your macronutrients as well. Make sure that you have the app MyFitnessPal or any other macro tracking app. There's lots of apps out there that do the job. MyFitnessPal's been the one that's been around the longest though, so generally has the biggest database, and make sure that you're scanning and weighing all of your foods. So from there, you want to make sure that you are tracking all of your foods using your MyFitnessPal app every single day. A lot of people think that they're eating very little, but reality is they're eating so many more calories than what they realize because of the extra sources, bites, or foods that they're consuming, and it all adds up. So be very careful and make sure that you're tracking absolutely everything that you are eating. The next thing that I'm going to say is that you need to prioritize resistance training over cardio. I know, shocker, it's the opposite in terms of everything else that you've been told. You know, a lot of people, they want to go and do all of this cardio because they think that that's what's going to burn more calories than weight training. But surprise, weight training actually burns more calories than what cardio does. During the training session, generally, your cardio session, you'll burn more calories in that session itself. But the great thing about weight training is that you're not just burning calories during that session, but for 24, 48 hours after that weight training session. So that is the beauty about weight training. It takes 24, 48 hours, even longer, depending how intense your training session was, in order for those muscle fibers to come back stronger. And that's how we're building muscle. That's how our body works. It's pretty amazing. So make sure that you prioritize weight training because you're actually going to burn more calories and create that shape. And remember as well, muscle weighs more than fat. And if your scale weight goes up, it's okay. It's not always about scale weight. The amount of client transformations I've had where we've done scans and they will be 5 kilos leaner, but their weight has stayed the same just because they have more muscle, but their transformation looks insane. Like, If you only went by scale weight in that scenario, you would be really disappointed. The amount of transformations on my page that you can go and see where my client's scale weight hasn't actually changed that much, but they look completely different. You would honestly be shocked. So don't stress too much about scale weight. That being said, when you do weigh yourself, I generally say either weigh yourself not at all or at least 4 to 7 times per week, just so we can track those low and high fluctuations. Because if you were to go weigh yourself once a week and it's a high fluctuation day or a low fluctuation day, it really doesn't tell us that much because we fluctuate a lot. It can be a couple kilos of a fluctuation, but we like to track that trend over time. And depending on how we're trending is what determines how often that we need to change our calories and our macros. And that brings me on to our next step, is that you need to make adjustments to your calories and macros every single week, and even your set protocols. You cannot run the same calories and macros for a long period of time because your body will stall, you will plateau, and then from there, then what? You have to constantly be making those tweaks and you have to be checking in with yourself. So with all of my clients, we do weekly check-ins. I know some coaches do like to do fortnightly, but I personally think that fortnightly is too long because some people's metabolism is very adaptive, whether you're building or in a fat loss phase. It can be a blessing and a curse. It means in your building, you can get your calories quite high, but when you're dieting, it means you have to get your calories somewhat low. So every single client is different. Some people can go longer on certain calories. That's a great thing if so, but you need to be constantly assessing your progress photos every single week. You need to make sure that you're having those weekly check-ins and you're doing a calorie drop, even if it's a small 50 calorie drop or a 40 calorie drop even. Sometimes I'll do as small as that. That's still 280 calories over a weekly basis. That adds up. It's all about calories in, calories out over a weekly basis, not a daily basis. And that leads me into the next point is instead of just dropping your calories and your macros, you also should start looking at having a step goal, and you can increase that over time. It's really important that we start your step goal low and your calories high, and that way you have a long way to be able to improve that throughout your fat loss phase. If you want to lose 5 kilos over the span of 8 weeks, you need to ensure that you're dropping about 600 grams per week. And another thing that we can do to ensure that you continue on progressing is instead of just dropping your calories and macros, we're also increasing your steps. That's a great way where we don't have to cut out any food, but we're also increasing your energy output for the week. And steps is a really great way that's super low impact, that can actually improve your recovery. That's super easy to get in because it's just what we do on a daily basis. We can increase that step goal instead of adding in heaps of HIIT and high intensity cardio that can take away from our weight training because our weights is king. Having a step goal is a really great way to increase your energy output.